hear me in the back? All the way back there. There's thousands of people in here. How y'all doing back there? Thank you guys so much for coming out. This is my second World AIDS Day event that I've organized, and so I'm like really excited. I got dressed up and shit. So yeah, thank y'all for coming out. I appreciate you guys. We're going to get started. So all of the panelists can make their way to the stage.
All right, so we're going to open up the floor a little bit. We're going to do some bouncing off of each other. Feel free that if you have something you want to say, just throw your hand up. Hopefully I'll see it. I'm sure that I will. And you can jump in, because conversation is better when there's more people involved, then that makes it a conversation, not just us talking and you listening. Because there's always someone out there who knows something that's beneficial for someone else. Get it? All right. So, in regards to women's mental health, which all of you guys are very passionate about, why do you think we struggle with having that conversation? Why do you think it's so difficult to have a conversation about mental health and physical health and all of those things? Because I noticed that Black women often steer away from it for whatever strange reason. But I want to hear what your thoughts are on why that is.
I'm going to jump out there and say, because a lot of times, and this is just my opinion, but I think that a lot of times we are put in this box of being strong and not having anything, even if there is something wrong, you can't let it affect you. And if it is affecting you, you can't let people see that it's affecting you. So we do a lot of running and hiding from ourselves and other people, because when I talk about capacity, I say your capacity is your currency. Whose dreams are you funding? Like your ability to get things done, to do things, is how you are able to have your 4 kids and still pay your rent and figure out how to pay your BG&E and all these things. And in that, you're still trying to figure out what's going on here, and is it normal? Or is there something wrong with me? But do you even have time to address it? This is my thought.
I think for me, part of it is, it's real that time is an issue. And I think the other thing is that we've never been taught how to. We've never been taught that we are a priority. As I've gone through my 20s, my 30s, my 40s, and now I'm entering my 50s, I'm giving myself finally permission to take time. I have my daughter that's graduating from high school, and those are real things. And so if you're not taught as a young person that it is okay to cry, I see the difference between myself and my children. My children are very vulnerable, and I don't get it. Like I've given them the space to do it. I don't get it. I don't like it. I mean, I try to understand it. But me as a 50-year-old person, I guess I wasn't given that space. And so now that I have these children, that they've been safe and they've been fed, and they don't understand that it takes money to keep this house and all this kind of stuff, that they just don't understand. They're not fearful, but I'm fearful for them. And so I see that I've given them permission to do all these things that I've never been given permission to do. And now that I'm entering my 50s, I'm in a different headspace. And so it's not just your family, it's the women around you that don't give you permission. Your friends, they see you cry and they're like, girl, you better get it together. But I think that, you all, I think, are feeling more vulnerable, and I appreciate it, but we haven't been given that space to do it. I think we really just haven't been given permission. And I told these young ladies up here, you better get it early. Your body will shut down. I have friends, myself, who have had health crisis because we haven't listened to our mind, our body, to say that something is going on. It will shut it down for you. So please listen and get it early.
I'd like to piggyback and agree on all of those things. When we talk about the historical context of being Black in America, my great-grandmother was 11 years old when Harriet Tubman passed away. My grandmother's still alive, and 12 years later she had her. So if we begin to understand that we did the best we could in the locations in which we lived, my grandmother is very hard on little girls. she calling my 4-year-old fast early, right? But many of us had that. Stop being fast, you too grown, et cetera, et cetera. But it was her need to try to protect in a rape culture that we have grown up in. And so much of it is I need to, depending on, my father was from is from Mobile, Alabama, and he went to color only bathrooms, right? So in the South, you needed to be meek. To make your child meek, you had to break their spirits at home. This was to ensure my survival, that I could be here. So he did a good job. The environment has shifted. And again, if we're not mindful of needing to create new type of habits, we're going to continue what we know, not understanding that our environments have shifted. And so I think a lot of us not having conversations about historically what's going on and what do we need now, and then being okay with being uncomfortable creating that which is necessary for the now.
If I may say, first of all, yes, thank you. Okay, church and tabernacle. I'm gonna lean in a little bit because I'm gonna say something about myself. I've been the last year and a half has been a real journey. One that has made me break cycles that I thought I had already broken. And in it, and so I'm also, my stage name is Love the Poet, but I'm also a poet. So I often come from a place of just like truth. And I don't have a poem for this because I actually refused, this is another part of the cycle, I refused to memorialize another woman in listen. I refuse to immortalize and memorialize another woman's existence in my life through my art. I'd be writing the same album again. But what I have realized in this journey is that there's a lot of shit with me that I have to sit alone and figure out. And one of the things that I have, now that it's past 365 days, and I didn't jump back into another relationship off the cuff and didn't do all the things that I would do before to not get back into that. One thing I realized is that I'm sensitive. And walking around saying I'm strong, I'm queer, I'm also, boy and all these things, that labels that people want to put on, but I'm also a warrior, I'm also this, I'm that. But when you do that, when we sit and we're like, I'm so strong, I'm so this, I'm so that, you're so strong that you will walk into a fire because you think you can handle being burned. Just think about what I'm saying. I would continue to sign up for pain because I said I could handle whatever the repercussions were going to be. But now I'm like, no. And this is new revelation. No, I'm sensitive. And I'm going to tell you I'm sensitive. I'm so sensitive that I'm going to protect myself from you. That's an awakening that I have recently had that makes me feel free and safe, even though I'm admitting that I'm not the strongest person in the room and I can't handle everything. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that.
Let the church say amen. All right. Hallelujah. That was good. I personally believe that in the culture that we live in and how we were raised, which I thought Joy brought upon some really good thought processes, a lot of us are taught to be strong. It's a thing. I still, even now, I can't call my mother and tell her how my day is going. It's just not a thing. That communication is not there. So you are taught to always have it together. I think there's a misconception with that, because it's like people just expect you to constantly have it together, and so you put on this face that really doesn't exist. You start to believe you're okay, really, when you're not okay, and you don't want to say I'm not okay, because we've been taught that that's a form of weakness when it's not. It's a form of self-awareness to say, you know what, I'm in a space right now and this ain't working. And that's okay. So my question to any of you guys is, what was your awakening moment to where you realized that, hey, you know what, I may not be okay today? Like, what was your awakening to say, you know, hey, this may be a little hard for me? Because we don't like to have that conversation. But what was your moment when you realized, hey, I don't have to be strong? Because some of us are not given the option to be anything other than strong. Like, what do the strong say?
So when my little brother was killed, there was a bunch of rallies. Like, my mom kind of like really needed me, and for a while I was like, all right, I'm there. Like, I was backing family up. I was like at all the radio shows, all of the interviews, everything. And I think we went away, and that was when the Trayvon Martin verdict came out. And it was like right after my brother's verdict came out, and it was just like, this was the moment where I thought like people were gonna wake up. Like, he was gonna be convicted, and at least my brother wouldn't have died in vain. So when it came out, like the same thing, I was like, I couldn't handle it. So when I came home, it was another rally for my brother again, and I was like, Mom, I can't do this. Like, I cannot do this. Like, yes, you're grieving, but so am I. Like, you're grieving your son, I'm grieving my brother. You know, I can't be surrounded by this on a daily basis, consistently on TV, people talking about it, people posting things on social media. And I understand, like, everyone wants it, or they do it for awareness, but the people who've actually experienced it, it's hard to see consistently. These videos that are posted and seeing these things happen, you see your family member in those people. So that was my moment, like being like, oh, I literally am gonna burst at the seams, because I was getting it from all angles, from strangers, from the news, and I was like, Mom, I love you, but I can't come to anything else in regards to this. Like, I've got to get my life together and be able to continue my journey. And I love him and I love you, but this is not me. I can't do it. So that was my moment.
I think my moment came in my late 30s. I think I went through my 20s and early 30s perpetuating the same kind of relationships with women. And I identify with what you said earlier. I am not that strong, right? But I've walked around with this idea that I was for so long. Being the oldest of 5 kids, you know, and my mother being an only mom, you know, and raising all of us, I've had to be strong. You know, I've had to pick up the pieces where I could as a child. And I took that into my adult life and into my relationship. And I got to a point where my last partner, she said, but you said you can handle this. And I'm looking at her and I'm saying, I am weak right now. I am hurting right now, and I need to be filled up. And she couldn't grasp that concept of me being weak, because there was never a point where I showed that, right? I was always running to the rescue, fixing. And I brought my son with me to this event because I raised him to be sensitive, right? And I want him to put that into the world and into relationships, all that which he sees in me. I want him to be strong, but I also want him to be sensitive. But the moment I exit that relationship, I change my perspective and the criteria of what I'm looking for now in a woman. And they come because I'm cute, right? I'm just playing. But I have to assess and take my time and learn and say, this is not okay. because what I need is for you to be able to hold me up when I'm not that strong, when I'm falling apart. I need you to see that and run to my rescue just as I run to yours. So that was my awakening moment.
Yes.
Hey, I am the oldest of four, similar, from a long line of strong black women. My mother was the firstborn of all her siblings. My grandmother was the firstborn on both sides of all her siblings. And my great-grandmothers were the firstborn of all their siblings. So similar to that historic, how you're supposed to be strong and black. And as soon as I graduated from high school, I became a soldier. And I was supposed to be strong because I was a soldier. And then I was deployed, and you come back, and you're supposed to have a different demeanor. And again, what Love was saying is that you have this certain look, this certain demeanor. So you're more masculine center, and you're supposed to act a certain way and be a certain way. And I had an incident, and I started therapy. For some black women, therapy is like, what? Just go pray about it. But I went to therapy, and my therapist said, what are you doing for your healing? And at that moment, that was my moment. And I was like, healing? I just don't want to hurt. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to feel. I want to be able to sleep and all these things. She said that's all healing. And at that point, I was like, well, that's where the problem is. Love was talking about we can endure pain and how strong we are and how we can, go through the fire. And we go through the fire and we, get the flag or we meet the goal. But it's that healing of those burns. That's what the pain comes from, is from healing, and letting us ourselves heal completely. Burns take a while to heal. If you break your leg, certain part of your bones, to take a little bit longer time to heal. And as black women, historically, way back to slavery, we have not allowed ourselves to heal. And because it's uncomfortable, because we don't have time, because it's not socially acceptable, and we have all of these excuses while we don't allow ourselves to heal. And you ask, what was that moment? I'm like, this little white woman is sitting here asking me, what are you doing, to allow yourself to heal from all of the the things that I ran down that were plaguing me or that were affecting me. And I was like, wow, that's totally a thing. So I guess, the healing aspect was mine.
I'm grateful for all of the stories. Thank you for yours, Tiara, because one of the things that I think is very interesting about the black community is that there has never been a community-wide healing of our life experience. We're the only population that stands on the soil that there has never been a fund, a federal government movement, a mission to actually do the healing work that has occurred to us. My great-grandmother was 11 years old when Harriet Tubman passed away. And we spent all of our time, generations, trying to, one, figure out what does it mean not to be a slave no more. Then two, Jim Crow kicks in, the prison industrial complex starts because we still need slaves to continue to perpetuate our marketplace. So we need to call it by another name, grateful for them to do these things to us. So then we created holes in which black communities can fall in. But we get so angry at our mothers and our brothers and sisters, we forget that these holes was created because this is a slave mentality culture. And we don't want you to be better, because if you're better, then you would look at that hole and walk around it. Furthermore, turn back around and throw some dirt in that thing so no one else could do it. And I am grateful, because I don't want this to be a next on any other generation. It was our grandparents' generation to do the Great Migration, to get out of the South, to figure out new ways. They trapped them up north too, took their houses, they missed one payment, okay? Shut things down. If you didn't look a certain way, a hue, you couldn't get the high-paying jobs. right? So you had to do mediocre jobs, and they throw the cocaine, and they did all of these things. So it was my grandparents, she is 94, it was their generation's requirement to get and figure out the lay of the land. And then it was my parents' generation, who are now in their 60s and 50s, to write down the history so that we didn't have to. And they did an excellent job. They did such a good job, they built the internet. They did their job. And I'm grateful for them. And it is our generation, those who sit in their 20s and their 30s right now, in their late teens, to create resolution. There is no one to look back and blame. It is our job to resolve the problems that our parents figured out was the problem. And then for the babies, you got another job. I don't know what those are yet. But there is no one to blame. We are doing our job, and we have consistently done our job, and we have done well. We created a black president, okay, in a short period of time after they burnt and assassinated and did all kinds of things to stop this momentum from happening. So I just want to articulate that and give thanks for that statement.
I think a little bit differently. I think that we have done some of our job. I think that me being 50, I don't know that I've done as good of a job as I could have in terms of I've done a good job with my family, but their families and I've thought about this. I come from Georgia. I've been here since 90. But I think about my experience growing up in Georgia. I was the only black girl in the classrooms. But there were a lot of other black kids in other classrooms that maybe they were not getting what I was getting. I judged them. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm not the person that I was in high school because I didn't understand at the time. So now that I am who I am, I understand the process that you just talked about, Joy. Everybody didn't come. We all have not come through the same passage. Some of us are still trying to figure out what we should be doing. And so I think for the people that have figured it out, we've got to pull some people up. And we've got to understand that everybody's not where you are, and we can't judge. And I know that we all are like, well, why can't that person figure it out? We just haven't. There's some, I realize that coming from Georgia, black people have been going to college for centuries, for a long time. I didn't realize that for a long time. My family didn't. I was the first person in my immediate family to go to college. So we're all at different places. So I think that we really got to consider, if you're at a place that's above someone, give them the knowledge. Help them understand all the things that have happened and that it's not necessarily their fault, but they can change where they are right now. And I think that that's my perspective.
Absolutely. And I agree, like, with both of you. And one thing that popped into my mind when you were talking is, I say this often, we are the only people who live peacefully amongst our captors. We are the only people who live peacefully amongst our captors. That is something that is blatant to me. It's always has been. I grew up in a bubble called Columbia, Maryland. I was born there. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Columbia, but it was a social experiment. So James Rouse, I mean, he was trying to do a right thing. You know, he built a community around 1964, 1965 to integrate blacks and whites in community. And at the time, there was this, idea of like coming up with middle class black people, this whole idea of that. And I was born there in 1981, so I was maybe second generation kid to ever be born in this bubble. And in the bubble, I was able to see that you can take the white woman out of Wisconsin, but you can't take the Wisconsin out of the white woman who's my 5th grade teacher. You understand what I'm saying? And so in it, I started to really analyze, and 9 and 10 years old, like, what is this? And I'm learning this history, and I'm going on my own. My birthday is the day after Martin Luther King, so I was like loving him. So I'm studying and reading my own books about it and doing all these things and having my own little protests as a little kid, and trying to figure it out. But it was something that came to me very easily, but when I say it to people, the reaction is always the same. Oh. There is inherent problems that we are going to continue to face as long as we continue to be the loving, benevolent, God-like black people that we were born and put on this earth to be. That is who we are. It is in our DNA to be communal, to be in community, to love people. You ever wonder why you can't just pop off? Because the shit be wild. It's wild right now. Turn on CNN. I started Brown and Healthy because I was tired of waking up seeing my babies being killed by police officers. And I said, well, shit, if we're at war, we need to be ready for it then. Let me do it like this, though, with a smile, and say Brown and Healthy so you don't really understand that I'm training my people. You understand? So that came to my mind when you said that. That hit me. And then something, when you were talking about we're in a space now, because we're in a space where in comparison to our ancestors and to our moms and to our dads and to our grandparents, we thrive. We have an opportunity to thrive. Yeah, some stuff just sucks. But when you put it side by side, we have an opportunity to thrive. But look, this is what I realize. Is even in my own personal life, I feel the phantom pains of pain. I'm happy. My life is good. But I often sit feeling the phantom pains of pain and stopping myself from getting into things so that I can just feel the pain again. Because it's something I'm so used to. We are so used to the drama and the nonsense that has been embedded in our community and our culture. Even when we rich and we famous, we get on TV shows like Love and Hip Hop. Black Ink, I was watching in the barber chair. I didn't want to. He had it on yesterday, 10 o'clock in the morning. I said, ain't it a little early for this? But he was in it. You know, it's in his subliminal. Like, he just played it, and that's drama. But they got money. You understand? Like, but so what? So what? What does it mean when we start to thrive, but we ain't used to what that feels like? And I think we're in that space. A lot of us are in that space where it's like we thrive and our parents can't understand it because sometimes we do jobs that they just like, what does that even mean? I'm director of community engagement at a co-working space called Impact Hub Baltimore. I deal with social justice, innovation. What are these things? My mother... I got a whole salary and a director job. I got the whole thing. And I travel when I want to. I go and I do it in other places. And I still sometimes don't know how to explain exactly what I do. But I promise you I eat. Do you see what I'm saying? We're in spaces now where generationally things are just different. And even, you know, I'm likely maybe 10 years or 12 years younger than you. That's still a time span where things change so much. Because I look at a person who is 27 and I'm like, oh. Look at you. You got it. But they got a PhD and they a professor already. Blows my mind. But no people skills. But these young people, they going into PhD programs at 22 years old and coming out, but they're thriving in a way. So I think the challenge now is what I'm thinking about is how do we address that? When you get to that point where you thriving, but you grew up on the internet and you don't actually know how to talk to people. I mean, I just went a whole place, but I'm sorry. I just had to do it.
I wore this velour suit for nothing.
So, with you being said we're thriving, how do you explain, like for me, I'm working on my master's, but I still feel like it's not enough. Like, I got friends who got PhDs, 2 masters. I'm the only person in my family that graduated from college. Only person in my family.
Yeah.
So I still feel like they like, oh, you doing good, Marquisha, you doing good. You're a single mom and you working your masters. I just got promoted at work. I'm the department head, but I still feel like it's not enough.
So, yeah. Who are you directing that to?
No, when you was talking about thriving, like,
Can you actually hear this on this? Okay, so I have something I want to say about that, okay? So I think there's a thing where someone has made you think that it's not enough. Because there are people out here that are equally as successful or more successful who don't have a degree. So that doesn't make or break the game. You make or break the game. And you can't compare the road that you're on to chapter 8 of someone else's book. Your chapter 1, my dear, is your chapter 1. Their chapter 8 is their chapter 8. Now, how they got there, it probably looks completely different than your path. Now, in comparison to what your parents are saying, hey, you're doing good, but you're doing good compared to what they can size up to their life.
yeah.
But don't think that you haven't yet arrived, because there's some people that are not your age that have not accomplished what you have accomplished. They are 40, 50 years old and don't know of nothing from nothing. You can't ask them nothing about nothing. Hell, I struggled in math. Don't ask me nothing that don't look like money. Okay? I don't have a PhD, baby, or a master's. Okay? And I'm okay with it. But here's the gag. You have to be okay with where you are, but you can't size up the path that you're on to someone else's path.
Yeah.
Because you're doing a comparison. It's not the same. The bottom line at the end of the day is that you are doing well for where you are in your life. And as you grow, you'll surpass where you are now when it's time, when you've arrived. But you can't get the whole kit and caboodle until you do what you're doing now. So be okay with where you are now.
The thing is, I am okay where I'm at, because I feel like I'm doing really good, but it's like, I feel like it's not enough.
Define what's not enough.
Yeah.
The question you have to ask yourself, what do you want, right? You have to spend some time with yourself, because it sounds like you're struggling. When I went off to college, people were saying I was going to be a lawyer. I mean, from little. People have told you what you're supposed to be, and now you're that thing, and it's not what you want. So now you got to figure out, what is it that you want? What is your purpose in life? What is that thing that makes you want to run? So for instance, I worked for the government for 10 years. I worked in private industry. I left those jobs. People are looking at me like, oh my God, why would you leave those jobs? I started a nonprofit to work with people who are living with HIV. I would do it for free. That makes me get up every day. It's a hard road. I write grants. I have to find money, but I would do it for free. You got to find that thing, the thing that you want to do. And I bet you'll figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely clap on that. I'm gonna go back a little bit, because when you direct that toward me, it made me think, right? I didn't actually talk about what I meant when I say I'm thriving. I'm in a position right now in my life, I made a decision, a conscious one, at the end of my 20s going into my 30s, to be who I am in every space that I exist in. I was Miss Nelson, I was Auntie, I was Michelle here, I was Love the Poet over here, and I made a decision that I was going to create the life that I wanted to live, just as I create a poem out of nothing. Just as I've been able to write a song from nowhere, or devise a show and put it on and fill the room and do these things, I was like, I can curate that same experience with my life. I can manifest this with my life if I make a decision. Right? So I'm thriving right now because I made those decisions. I took 10 steps back to take 10 steps forward. I took fellowships and didn't get paid for internships and things like that. Getting experience, again, to build a resume where I'd already had the experience before, but because what people put on you is time constraints. And they say, well, if you didn't do it in the last 2 years, then it doesn't exist. No. I've been me. You know, and that's one of the things I talk about in my book, is taking inventory of your experiences. Because a lot of things that you're doing, you've done before. Maybe you started it in the 5th grade. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thriving because I made a decision to put the pieces together and move in spaces. And it's been difficult, but like you said, finding out what you want to do where you are actually happy. Not fake happy, not Instagram happy. Not I'm smiling for this picture, everybody think I'm popping happy. No, when there's nobody in the room, when it's just you and the walls. And can you say, if I close my eyes today and not wake up, I have done my best to be my best and I'm happy. So when I say I'm thriving, it's because I am myself, my full self in every place that I go. If people don't want it, then they don't want me. When I interviewed for the job that I have 2 years ago, I told them who I was. I told them I'd be traveling. I told them if I couldn't do this job on my laptop, wherever I decided to be, on the beach or whatever, then I wasn't doing it. And they agreed. If they didn't agree, then I'd have just picked up my bag and went on somewhere else. But you have to make a decision. First, you have to understand what you want, who you are, and what your purpose is. And don't be afraid to walk in it. And don't accept things that are not in alignment with your goal. Because the minute you do that, you throw a monkey wrench in those plans, because it's not about the how. You can't worry about that. This is the law of attraction. They packaged it pretty in something called The Secret, but it's actually ancient Kemetic beliefs. So, yes, yeah. It's okay.
I want to talk about like how people can start to take control of their lives, how they can actually make it an actual real thing for themselves. No matter how old they are, no matter what place in life they are, they can start right now.
Yeah.
So can we just?
Yeah, you can always press reset. Right now, press it, because it's about what you know, right? It's about if nobody ever tells you that you can just make up your mind to be what you want to be, and it will manifest. Think about all the things. Just sit for a second and think about the things that you've thought about so hard that actually came to fruition. You did that. Don't put it off on anything else. Don't say, oh, this happened. No. You put them wheels in motion. And the minute you question it or try to figure out how you're going to fashion it or whatever, you throw a monkey wrench in the. As soon as you begin an idea or put a vision into place, the universe conspires for it to happen.
Yes.
Alchemy.
Yes.
The Alchemist.
Yes.
That's the book. Get the book. Get the book, The Alchemist. Look what we did there. Get the book. Also, when I talk about ancient Kemetic beliefs, that's the basis of religion to link back to the whole, to the source. It's a thing. You know what I'm saying? It's our thing. It's the root of all religion. And if you can, there's a Metu Neter, there's other texts that can get you into where you need to be in your headspace. Because we reading everybody else's book, people current day, talking about how they got to where they are. Okay, cool. But let's get into the root of this. And I know you want to say some things, so go ahead.
You know I do.
I know you do.
Just walking right down my alley, boy.
Let's go.
So here's some of the additional things that I want to talk about. One, the revolution is your happy.
Yes, it is. Hallelujah. Huh.
Because once you focus on that thing, the love that you desire, the life that you desire, then you are going to have the life that you desire, and no man or woman can take that away. The manifestation cycle is 6 months. The manifestation cycle is 6 months. We are living out our last 6 months. This concept is that something, that's it. And we're only repeating the past. That's why it stays as memory. Memory has to be remembered in order for it to remain. So you choose to think over 6 months away. Your life going to look a different 6 months away. You understand? So that's one. 2, prepare yourself to be uncomfortable.
I'm in a constant state of discomfort.
good.
Oh, and I like it.
Hold on. A butterfly, when it is in a cocoon, doesn't really like its skin getting ripped off of itself, I am sure. But it is a process to get somewhere. Nothing stays in the same state. The only thing that is constant is change. So if you can't get with that, then you are subscribing to creating the same thing all over again. So be okay. It's going to change. And sometimes, and this is what I learned this year, that which you've always wanted already exists somewhere that you're not standing in. So everything doesn't even have to be built from scratch.
Walk into it is what you just said.
Yes. Get
walk
on an
to
airplane. Go to that place that's been sitting in your spirit for forever. I guarantee you there is everything you always ever wanted. And it's okay. My father says this, and I have to go back to my history lesson a little bit. We are, again, amongst the people who sit with our captors, we are also a few people who the captors killed themselves for us to be free. They took arms against their own brothers and sisters. My father said we had nothing. We had no nothing. Half of us could not read. We had no guns. We didn't even have arms. Arms what? Nothing. But yet we are free. We had a God. We knew that God real well. And what we talk about is generations being different. If we as families start putting together 60-year plans on our family's life, you will see a quickening of change. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams because they envisioned us sitting here like this right now. What we have stopped doing is visioning for our great-great-grandkids.
Whoa.
So when we get back into this place of dreaming forward and living, we are telling our children what life can be. That baby is absorbing all of this, had been since she was sitting in her great-great-great-great-great-grandmother's womb. And so everything her mother does now is impacting her and all of the children that sit inside her womb, because we are born with all eggs that we will ever have. So be ye clear that we are exactly where we are supposed to be, that no one stole anything from you. In fact, nothing can be created or destroyed. They already said that. Yeah. So if so, all that we are doing then is playing narratives that make us feel that we have to run a whole lot. When I worked for a nonprofit organization, my mother says if that place didn't close, I would still be there. And she's probably right, because I come from a people of workers. And because my mother worked in the school system, she taught me that it was possible for her to have summers off. And I thought that was cute. And so what I decided, and when I worked for the man, if you will, I didn't believe in working on Fridays because I don't understand how you get 5 days and I only get 2. So I told them that I will only work 4 days. And they gave me that. And then their doors closed. And instead of being excited that I can make my own life, I went into a deep depression. Because nothing's more scary than understanding you can create whatever you want. Get ready to be uncomfortable. And then dream. Because what came on the other side of that dream was a whole entire organization. Because I had the audacity to ask some people to do Vision to Reality. Mary was there for that. And because of Vision to Reality, I was like, oh, okay, well, I technically have everything I need to open up a practice. I guess I can do this. Come on now. And it wouldn't even be so if I didn't have a friend who could make a website. So this thing in isolation is ridiculous. Because if it wasn't for Lee making me a website, there would be no Achieving Joy. But now you got a website. You got the degree, you got the license, got the place. Guess I got to go out here and do this, begrudgingly. And as a result of that uncomfortability, I work 3 days a week most weeks. I work 9 months a year, and I travel 3 months a year outside of this country. And my parents look at me, my father, and this is where I'm talking about mindset. My father gets 5 weeks. He did the calculations while I was sitting in front of his face. He didn't even know. You know what I mean? Are you ridiculous? 5 weeks. I don't even know what I would do with 5 weeks off. I don't need that much time off. So it's a mindset. The minute you decide whatever you want to do, the universe, your God, the God of your God, the God of your grandparents and the great-grandparents and the people who got to sit and allow themselves to be free because they prayed on that thing, still working for you. My last point is, I always say that I am so grateful that my God is polyamorous. And love me as he and she loves everyone else. And what the people on top understands this, he is no respecter of persons. And so you can have whatever you want. Whatever you want. And you can't have anything more than you believe you can have, because the universe will not make a liar out of you. Come on, come on, come on. So I say all those things to say is dream big. Be the living example you want for your children. It's never too late. Understand, children, you are a living example for your parents. So don't be sad when they look at you like you crazy, but 6 months later, because that's the cycle of, hold on, because 6 months is some of us got it. This group is getting ready to manifest something. I don't know what y'all doing over there. 6 months is the cycle of manifestation. They come back and start asking you a different type of thing. I sat with my father. He told me a theory that I gave him 6 to 12 months ago, as if I didn't give it to him. So we are changing each other, and it is well. And I'm so grateful to be a part of this.
Yes, Joy. Yes, Joy. As I'm listening to Joy, she's talking about all the stuff that she did. I think one big piece that I think that as we all have developed these programs and these organizations, it's not about us. It's not about her. It's about, she's done all these things, but she didn't talk about all the lives that she's touched. I know that I've worked with Joy in my organization, and we have a hard time finding people that can connect to us and to connect to the people that we serve, because they're not necessarily in that space. They're not in that open mindset. They're in a systematic sort of box. And so they don't think the way we think. And when Ann brought Joy in, I mean, I don't even talk to Joy that much, but just her energy, when she comes in the room, the hug that she gives, I don't know. She's the revolution, I guess. As she said, happy is the revolution. She is the revolution. I really appreciate the work that she does for the people. I think I think sometimes we get stuck and we can't move because we don't know what we're supposed to be doing. And also, it feels selfish. I think that's one of the things that I've heard women say, is that I can't spend time with myself. I can't go and do something for myself. I can't read that book because I need to take my child here. But think about the people on the other side that are waiting for you. There are people that are waiting for you to awaken so you can serve them. That you have something that they need, and if you don't manifest it, they're not going to get it from anybody else. You have a tribe. Each of us have a tribe that is waiting for us. So you are the power source for someone. And so you have to know who those people are, but you have to also identify your power source and stay close to your power source. And as you're doing all these things that you need to do, you need to find out what is that thing that's going to fuel you and go to it.
All right. So this has probably been one of the most prolific panels I've had the pleasure of sitting on. Thank you to Mary for allowing everyone to do this. Sit here in the front row looking like new money. Ow. Yes, sir. So I am honored to actually actually be here. I'm glad that each of you have decided to engage on this conversation about health and passion and purpose. It is essential that we all know that it is not too late to kind of ignite your vision, whatever that looks like. Your purpose often is waiting for you to show up to the party. It's already there. So just check your mail, because a lot of times your invitation isn't lost. It's already been there waiting for you to meet it on the bridge. So sometimes it's a matter of us just showing up on the bridge for our purpose, because it's already there. And just defining what showing up really looks like. But before you can show up for anybody else, just take a little time to know that you have to show up for self first. You need you more than anyone else, period. Like, it can wait. Leave the dishes. Let the kids be mad because dinner late. The laundry can wait. But you can't wait. So show up for yourself before you show up for anybody else, because you're of no value to anyone else until you are of value to you. So just kind of think of that. With that being said, we're going to close it out. You have something you want to say, Sue?
I enjoyed her ride.
Yes. She has something to say.
I said this at the Afropunk panel, and I'm going to say it here because I think it's relevant as we talk about getting started. A revolutionary act for black women, for a black woman, for black women, is to sleep in. Sleep in. Sleep in. Something that simple is a revolutionary act in our community. Think about how many times you've taken the moment to just sleep in.
Y'all, that touched my soul. That fell on me like a warm blanket. I said, yes, God, sleep in. Oh, hallelujah. That touched my soul. All right, so we're going to wrap it up. Huh? Yes. Guys, you remember I said a conversation is only as good as the people who participate in it? That's y'all. So they have talked. They got lots to talk about. But I want to hear from you guys. So let's pass this mic.
I look good passing the McDonald's.
All right, peace, family. So I came all the way down from Boston, and so I'm just thankful that I actually made the journey down. I was worried about being late because, you know, black folks, we always late about, you know, for everything. But truly, it was really worth it, and I'm thankful for Instagram, thankful for the internet, because being connected to Mary and finding out about this event truly is one of those things where it's a part of my self-care. And I was like, you know, I'm going to take the ride, I'm going to travel on down to Baltimore, or Maryland, excuse me, and, you know, just hang out with different people, hang out with a new crowd, and just connect with people and have Boston and Baltimore, Maryland, Hyattsville, just have that connection where it's, you know, the black people in Boston come down to Maryland, or Maryland comes up to Boston, and we just have that connection and that dialogue, because this is great, and, you know, this is something I would love to have in Boston. And, you know, I just really appreciate it, and I appreciate this time being set aside for all of us to gather. And my journey was well worth it. I'm tired, I have a headache, but it was worth it.
Thank you so much. Anybody else? Yes, a brother. Thank you. Thank you to all the brothers in the building. God bless you.
Well, hi, good afternoon or good evening. You know, when we were talking about wanting to be better than our past generations, our grandparents, and our, you know, our history, our lineage, I kind of related to that because I'm going into college now. This year I graduate, so I have to think about my life and the things I'm planning for it. And I have to look at my mom. And I told her 2 weeks ago or a week ago, I was like, Mom, you gotta stop accomplishing all this stuff because now I gotta do more. I gotta fill in those shoes. And like, I really want to be better, you know, not because of me wanting to be better than her, to be mean or to be spiteful. It's to be better because of my people and the people behind me, people behind her. She has been better than the family behind her. We've all grown together in the way where we can be proud of who we are. I'm proud of where I am and where I stand and the opportunities that are in front of me. You know, I'm going to school for computer science. You know, I would have never thought that, you know, back in the day. I see so many opportunities in front of me. And I want my kids, when I do have kids, to have more opportunities and to be even better than me, and their kids to be better than, like, just keep on growing, because as a society, as a black culture, we have been kind of taken down. You know, we have been allowed to grow, but because they're allowing us to grow, because the people are, they say, okay, you can have this, we make you happy, you can have that, but grow because we want you to grow, but not because you want to grow. You know, I want to grow because it's for my mom, it's for my parents, it's for everything, you know? I just like the words you guys have shared today, and it's really made me think about everything.
Anyone else? I just want to shout out my brother. He is wearing a lovely Mary Bowman shirt. They are available at the table for only $20.
Only $20. I just wanted to say one thing. So basically, I'm at a point in my life right now where I don't have a lot of people in my life that I used to depend on a lot. Over the past like 2 or 3 years or so, I lost a lot of family members, you know, a whole lot of family. 3 of them including 3 people that was important to me. I lost my oldest brother, no, really my cousin, but he's like my brother. You know, he was killed by the police. I lost my father and my grandfather over the past 3.5 years. With that being said, also my grandmother, she has Alzheimer's now, and that's who raised me since I was a child, you know, and that's my baby, that's my best friend, you know, in the whole world. And not having those people around, you know, those people to depend on, those people to lean on, you know, those people that you're always looking to for help and things like that, you know, made me realize some stuff about myself. And it made me realize that, you know, all of the fears that you think you have in life, you know what I'm saying? I use all of those fears as my strength now because I realize those fears are not real. You know what I'm saying? And that's just all I want to say. Like, I love the man that I became today because of, you know, the ways that I had to step up in life. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate, you know, coming to things like this with my sister, and I'm always trying to learn new things from her because she always, you know, trying to put my mindset in a different, you know, in a different place, you know, from what I'm used to it as. So I just appreciate all of this, and I love y'all, man.
Love you too. Is there one more?
Thank you. First, I want to say thank you to the panel. I didn't know what I was going to partake in, but my dear friend Deidre, I thank her. But when I saw the title, it reminded me of the poem, Ain't I a Woman? It's a poem that I would say to myself every night when I put my daughter down. And I would try to figure out the next morning how we were going to move forward. I found myself pregnant my freshman year of college. My goal was to go to Hawaii, University of Hawaii, and my parents said, no, you're going to Tennessee State University. And I said, no, I'm going to Hawaii. Thank God I went to Tennessee State University. But I was given this bundle of joy that was my responsibility. And so I turned to my young sister here and I say, you are a woman, you're great. And I say that all the ways because I too have a bachelor's degree in speech pathology and audiology. But I also worked with Deidre with one of the federal agencies, and the first part of that was in HIV, and then I moved into chronic disease and global health. I remember sitting on my steps as a young girl in Chicago, watching the airplanes fly over my house, and I said one day I would be on those planes. Those planes have indeed taken me around the world. And so I say this to women. We wear the shield, we wear the mask. We've got to let those masks go. When you ask the question, when did you finally get that aha moment? I've gotten it earlier this year when I found myself with no job. I found myself in a really bad time because I'd always taken care of myself, me and God. Here I could not find a job. I got on an airplane, left Houston, Texas after being with my daughter and realizing that I don't like Texas, and I came back here. And when I got off that airplane, I had a job and a place to stay. And ever since then, every month, I'm traveling somewhere out of this country, as Deidre will tell you. She always says, "Where are you now?" So I say to every woman, think big, think bright, think bold. Don't limit yourself. Know that you're great, because it's times that no one's going to tell you that but you and God. When you have those midnight conversations, He's going to keep telling you how great you are. And that's what I live by. That's what I live by. And I tell you, don't ever question yourself. A mentor of mine said to me, "You are only the winner of your race. No one else can run that race with you." And many times I had people to try to compete, and I would always say to them, "The race you're running with me is not a race you can win. It's only my race." So those two roads that you're trying to figure which way you're going, go each road and see which road works for you. But don't underestimate your strength and your power. You're right, our generations have changed. I turned 60 this year, and every month on the 18th I celebrate being 60. I got one more month. So I thank you for the inspiration. I was making notes because I'm a note taker. And let me tell you, I'm going to be writing that all on Facebook. Woo-hoo, the woman has arrived. Ain't I a woman? Thank you so much, ladies.
Anybody else? Yes.
Hello, everybody. I came in late, so I kind of missed a lot of things, but I'm new to the area, and recently I've been positive for 2 years, and so I was kind of on this journey like by myself, but not by myself. I moved from Georgia, and I was in the community. Yes, ma'am, we So I was in support groups, and I had a big network and support there, and so with me moving up here, and I was like, I gotta get in the community and I gotta find. So I went on eBright and I found this event or whatever. So I'm glad to be here. And so within the last week, I came out and told a lot of my family and friends about my status, because I want to do more and I want to be that voice to show women that you can still live your life, and HIV don't stop me. It don't stop nothing. I'ma still do me. So I was totally nervous, like telling all of my family and friends. I have a blog, I have a YouTube channel. I do a lot to try to help people because that's what I love to do. I love to help people. I don't care what it is. And today I posted my status worldwide on all my social media accounts. And the love and support that I received, it was just overwhelming. And I was just so full because I did not expect it. And, you know, most of my family and friends who knew, you know, they were just like scared that people were going to be negative and saying nasty things and just rude, but it was the total opposite. And I was just so full today, and I just loved it.
You ladies talked about mental health, and when I had issues in my family, I reached out to my mom, and she said, "You don't need to talk to nobody. Girl, you just need to go to church." And I said, "Why do people always say that?" And I said, "It doesn't matter how many days at night I pray. I get on my knees and pray. I still need to talk to somebody because I need help. Because a mother of 3, I make the most money in my family. I try to be strong for my husband who hates his job. He comes home every day. I can't do it all. I can't cook, I can't clean, I can't keep this family together." And the one time my middle child said to my husband, "Why does mommy not like me?" Caleb is a very smart child, and he was acting out in school. And so I started to be more hard on him. But it was stuff I was going through myself, and I knew that I needed help, and I couldn't do it on my own. So I reached out to my mom, who's a spiritual person, and to hear her say to me, you just need to go to church. I said, Mom, going to church is not going to fix it. I need a professional. Because I'm going to lose it. And I'm going to lose everything in this house. So when black people say that you just need to pray and you just is not going to get it, I needed to seek professional help. And I told my husband that, and that's what I did. And I asked him to support me in doing it. And so when we do that to each other, and I said, Mom, and then what helped me was when I reached out to my sister, and she said, I've been seeing a counselor for a long time, Karen, because of things that went on in our house. My sister got pregnant when she was 18, and she was forced to leave our home. And my sister is my rock. I lean on her for everything, but I couldn't lean on her for this. And she said, why didn't you call me? Because I've been seeking professional help for a long time, and that my professional counselor has helped me. So I'm glad you told me, because you need to keep going. I said, well, why did Mom say that to me? She said, you can't listen to what Mom said to you. You can continue to pray, but you better not stop going to seek that counselor. And that's what I did. So when I needed that, so when we say that and people say, you know, mental health, oh, you just need to go to your pastor and pray. I do still go to my pastor and pray, but I also have that extra help on the side, because that extra help on the side that my insurance pays for, I needed that. I needed that. So mental health is real. It's real. It's real.
Thank you.
Another man, y'all.
Touching on the mental health segment that you were talking about, 4 years ago, I fell into a 90-day spell of depression. On the 98th day, I told my sister that, my sister's heavily religious, by the way. I told her that I was depressed, I had thoughts of suicide, and for anyone who knows me, I'm a very upbeat, happy, go-lucky, smile, hug you down type of person. But I just couldn't find the strength to hug myself or to even get out of what I was going through, because for so long, touching on what Love said, I've been strong for so many people and for so many things that I was never there for myself. I lost my mother when I was 10. And that right there, my siblings, they're old enough to be my parents. So it was basically me by myself, because it was, their whole thing was get over it and move on. And so as a young child, I soaked that up and I did it. But not getting over it, because my mother was my mother. That was my sweetheart. But this on the 98th day of my depression, on the 89th day of my depression, I told my sister what was going on with me. And she told me, that's because you're just like your other sister. You're mean, you're spiteful, and you're just wrong. And you don't pray. So that's why you're depressed, and that's why you have these thoughts of suicide. The 90th day, which was my birthday, the 34th birthday, is when I attempted suicide. I failed, and that's the only failure that I would accept. The only failure I would accept. Since that happened, I made a promise to myself that I would be more vocal, more present, more yes for me and for everybody else who have gone through or is going through what I go through. Because as a black gay man, you really don't have a lot of people to stand on. You don't have a lot of people who can be there for you, because as a black man, number one, you're taught to be strong. You're taught to sweep everything under a rug and keep it to yourself and just keep going. Also, in a black religious Catholic family, being gay, you're wrong and you're automatically going to the core of hell. To that, I say, fuck it. I stand before you today as a 38-year-old man who is happy as hell. I'm a host, I'm a public speaker, motivational speaker, I'm a publisher of 4 books, I'm a very well-known spoken word artist, and I'm an advocate for child abuse awareness, LGBT community, and also for HIV awareness, just because of Mary Bowman. And I say that I am living proof that mental health can be a stepping stone for you to succeed and to go further, because it is an ingredient for you to succeed for yourself as well as others. That's all I got to say.
We get close to the time. Thank you all so much. Let's give our panelists a round of applause. We can do better than that. Y'all give my panelists a round of applause. Yes, 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 yes.